All right, welcome back. It's early July 61, and I'll start us off with the decisions I'm making. I'm going to raise taxes, which will give us 800,000, but will cost us 2 morale. But I'm also going to build armories in New England. Oops, sorry. Let me go back. Here we go. Increase the roll pool, the river pool, and also pay a premium for volunteers, dollar, the $1 option. So a lot of the decisions. Um, Here's how things kind of look in Virginia. So basically, I'll continue to gather control of the western part of Virginia here. Meanwhile, just kind of sitting tight, not going to attack Manassas or anything like that. Out west, again, I'm just really kind of screwed this up basically because I didn't get the supply wagons earlier. But our cavalry regiments will retreat to Lawrence, and also have the Kansas reaction forces head on to over to Leavenworth. Meanwhile, we'll basically be rallying all the forces in St. Louis and then begin to move west on Springfield. Of course, the other option is I have built a couple. I built a transport unit, and in addition, a couple of flatboat squadrons, and also a gunboat. So the other option is to kind of go to Cairo, hop on a ship, and go down and do something really crazy. Maybe go straight for Memphis or unload at Cummington and try to run the guns. A few options. It's kind of some are risky. So I'm kind of going to get everything in St. Louis and see what's there, and then make a decision. We are gathering quite a large force here in New York, which I think will be ready to go, and probably not next turn, but the following turn. So yeah, it's going to be take 2 turns to get everything ready. All right, let's run the turn and see what happens. Okay, I'm actually going to flip over to the far west because there are a whole bunch of units all heading towards Tucson. Our cavalry regiment has actually arrived first, and our next militia unit's not due to arrive until 17 days. You can see what else is here. There's a 2 CSA militia units and also an artillery battery. So they're right next to the Fort Gregg garrison, but these guys are locked for a good while now. We do have some forces far up here, but they're a pretty good ways away. However, we do have one cavalry regiment here that's ready to go, so I could see what happens if I send them on down and maybe try to attack the forces here. And let's see what these guys are. So yeah, I have to think about what to do, but basically the objective is to get to Tucson. Our other regiment here is going to arrive in 2 days, but they'll need to stop and resupply and recuperate, basically. We do have some other forces on the way, but they're first going to have to arrive, and they'll first have to arrive in Southeast California before heading on. These forces need to get there before the mud sets in. Once the mud sets in, it's really hard to maneuver out here. Couple interesting things. No movement at all. No movement at all out west. You can see here's Shelby surrounded by a few other units. We now have a decent-sized force here and an artillery battery that is finished. So Kansas is in a pretty secure spot. Shelby's not going to be able to come up and just simply walk over and take it. The Lexington force has now unlocked. There's Springfield. We don't know what is there, and you can see here we've gathered a whole bunch of forces, which I'll bring together and see what the options are. Nothing to report in Virginia other than that it looks like Stonewall Jackson has joined Johnson and Shenandoah, and Johnson's actually facing a much smaller force here in Harper's Ferry. Of course, we do have 4 artillery batteries, but yeah, this force is substantially smaller. You'll probably need to bring in the 1st Pennsylvania Brigade to bolster the force. Small force in Washington, and then basically locked forces in Annapolis and Baltimore, other than the 1 volunteer regiment here. No battles, as I said. I'll quickly try to see if there are any interesting messages. So the CSA has invested a lot in civilian demonstrations. I have not been countering those. I've been using the money for troops. Of course, a lot of movement. Yeah, this is kind of like it's sort of a race for Tucson, really. I don't think you could see when yeah, Carson's force is locked another 7 turns. I can't remember how long it takes before Sibley is unlocked. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen here out west. One thing that's interesting is like he's basically bypassed western New Mexico, which makes sense because Tucson actually becomes an objective city, but definitely a strategic city at some point in the near future. So I have invested out here, and I'm hoping that there's another force that's available. I'm hoping that that's going to pay off. So his 2 militia units are pretty tired, so I'm going to try to send them down, and we'll see if I can come up with some sort of victory, which would be awesome. I think that's pretty much all. I need to take a good hard look at this next turn in St. Louis and New York, and then make a decision on what to do. I'll surprise you guys next time of where the New York fleet is going to head off to. Okay, see you next time.